You've been lied to your entire life. They told you that masturbation was dirty, immature, something to be ashamed of, or something you should have outgrown decades ago. And by the time you turned 60, you were expected to quietly retire that part of your identity, along with everything else that once made you feel strong, alive, and connected. But what if I told you that the very thing you've been avoiding could be the missing key to your health, your energy, and even your emotional well-being? The truth is this: masturbation, when done mindfully, is not just a source of pleasure. It's a tool for healing, for maintaining hormonal balance, for protecting your prostate, for keeping your nervous system sharp, your confidence intact, and your sense of self rooted in vitality, not decline. This isn't about fantasy or addiction. It's about science. It's about biology. And most importantly, it's about reclaiming the relationship with your own body that was taken from you by shame, silence, and outdated beliefs. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover 7 powerful truths about self-pleasure that every man over 60 deserves to know. These truths can shift the way you age, the way you feel, and the way you live, starting today. So if one simple act, done differently, could improve your hormones, reduce disease risk, and bring you back to life, wouldn't you want to know how? Let's begin. 2. The hidden crisis in older men. Across the world, millions of men over 60 are silently suffering. Not from obvious illness. Not from visible wounds. But from something deeper, and far more difficult to talk about. Disconnection. They've lost connection with their bodies, their desires, their emotions, even their sense of purpose. Many don't even realize it's happened. They simply chalk it up to getting older. They sleep less, move slower, feel duller. Their confidence fades. Their motivation weakens. And their relationships, even with themselves, become distant. But here's the truth most men don't hear in time: this slow fade isn't inevitable. It's not just aging. It's what happens when the body stops receiving the signals it needs to stay alive, physically, emotionally, sexually. When you stop touching yourself. When you stop being touched by others. When you stop believing that part of you still matters. Your nervous system begins to withdraw. Over time, that withdrawal becomes disinterest. Then numbness. Then dysfunction. And worst of all, most men never talk about it. Because we were taught to be silent. To tough it out. To never ask for help, especially about something as embarrassing as self-pleasure. But what if you knew that regaining your vitality didn't require anyone else? What if you could start reclaiming your health today, alone, privately, with nothing but your own hands and 10 minutes of intentional time? You can. And it starts by understanding what no one ever taught you. Let's explore the first truth. 3. Truth number 1: mindless masturbation can rewire you wrong. Let's start with what most men don't realize until it's already caused problems. The way you've been masturbating for years, even decades, might be working against you. Here's what I mean. For many men, masturbation becomes a rushed, mechanical habit. It's something you do quickly, in secret, often with tension in your body and distraction in your mind, scrolling through images, using the same hand, same rhythm, same outcome. It seems harmless. Maybe even comforting. But over time, it conditions your brain into a very narrow, rigid pattern of arousal. Your nervous system starts associating sexual stimulation only with that exact routine, fast, detached, and artificial. Eventually, that routine becomes a prison. You might notice. It takes longer to feel anything. You need more pressure, more stimulation, more fantasy. You can't finish without doing it a certain way. Real intimacy starts to feel awkward or underwhelming. You're not broken. You're overtrained. This kind of conditioning is what leads to issues like porn-induced erectile dysfunction, PIDE. Delayed ejaculation. Anorgasmia, inability to climax. The worst part? It doesn't just affect your sex life. It chips away at your confidence. It makes you avoid intimacy. It creates frustration, loneliness, even depression. You start believing something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong. Your brain simply learned the wrong lesson. And the good news is, it can unlearn it. You can rewire your body for presence, connection, and real sensation. It just takes awareness, patience, and a new approach. This isn't about stopping. It's about slowing down, tuning in, and touching yourself with intention, not as an escape, but as a way back to feeling. Because when you stop rushing and start reconnecting, your nervous system listens. And over time, it remembers. 4. Truth number 2, ejaculation equals prostate health. You've probably heard that frequent nighttime urination, weak stream, or pelvic pressure are just part of getting older. But what if they're not? What if one of the easiest, most natural ways to improve prostate health was something you've been taught to stop doing? Here's the truth. Your prostate doesn't stop working after 60. It still produces seminal fluid, and if that fluid isn't regularly released, it can build up, causing a condition known as prostate congestion. This congestion leads to inflammation and swelling, increased pressure on the bladder, discomfort or dull aches in the pelvis, difficulty urinating or ejaculating. Many men assume these are signs of aging or even early symptoms of prostate cancer. In reality, it's often the result of stagnation, a system that hasn't been emptied in too long. One well-known Harvard study followed nearly 30,000 men and found that those who ejaculated 21 or more times per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who didn't. Let that sink in. 21 times a month could reduce cancer risk. Not because of fantasy, lust, or addiction. But because ejaculation is a biological maintenance function. You wouldn't ignore your blood pressure. You wouldn't stop brushing your teeth. So why would you ignore your prostate? This is not about chasing pleasure. It's about taking care of your internal systems. And the beautiful part? You can do this on your own, without shame, and without waiting for anyone else. Pleasure isn't the enemy. Neglect is. 5. Truth number 3, shame is a health risk. Let's talk about something most men carry silently, shame. You were likely raised in a time when masturbation was seen as dirty, weak, or sinful. Maybe you were scolded for it. Maybe you were teased, guilt, or told it was something only boys do. That kind of message doesn't just disappear, it buries itself deep inside your nervous system. Even today, when the topic comes up, many men laugh it off. Change the subject. Shrug and say, that was for when I was younger. But the truth often hides beneath the surface. It's not that they don't want to touch themselves. It's that they've been conditioned to believe they shouldn't. Here's what that shame does. It disconnects you from your own body. It suppresses desire, even when it's still alive. It replaces curiosity with guilt. And over time, it damages your mental health. You may not even notice it happening. But shame is a form of chronic stress, and like any stressor, it affects your mood, hormones, immunity, and even cognitive function. Here's what most men don't know. Self-touch isn't just physically healthy, it's emotionally healing. When done consciously, it boosts dopamine, your motivation and pleasure chemical. Oxytocin, the hormone of trust, bonding, and calm. Sleep quality. Confidence and emotional resilience. And yet, so many men avoid it, out of old, inherited guilt that no longer serves them. You are not too old to want connection. You are not wrong for wanting to feel good in your own body. You are not weak for craving touch. Shame is the real poison. And the antidote isn't complicated, it's permission. When you begin to touch yourself with care, without guilt, your body listens. Your brain softens. And slowly, you come back home to yourself. 6. Truth number 4, testosterone drops when you disengage. You've probably heard that testosterone naturally declines with age. That it's just something that happens, like wrinkles or gray hair. But that's only part of the story. Yes, testosterone levels drop as you get older, but they drop much faster when you stop engaging with your sexual energy. Think of it this way. Your body is incredibly efficient. It adapts to your lifestyle. If you stop using certain muscles, they shrink. If you stop needing certain hormones, your body produces less of them. So when you stop touching yourself, when you stop feeling desire, when you convince yourself that sex is behind you, your body gets the message. He doesn't need this anymore. And so it stops sending fuel to the engine. Your testosterone drops. Your muscle tone fades. Your energy dips. Your confidence slips. Your edge, what used to make you feel alive, dulls. But here's the part most men never hear. You can reverse that message. Even without a partner. Even without intercourse. Solo sexual activity, when approached mindfully, can stimulate testosterone production. In fact, studies show that erotic thoughts, touch, and anticipation all trigger hormonal responses. Short-term boosts in testosterone occur after sexual stimulation, yes, even solo. Men who maintain a connection to their sexuality often retain healthier hormone levels, longer. This isn't just about libido. It's about identity. Power. Presence. When you re-engage with your body, your brain responds. And when your brain responds, your body starts to rebuild what you thought was lost. You don't need to feel like you used to. You just need to remind your biology that you still want to feel something at all. 7. Truth number 5, erections are a use it or lose it system. There's a quiet lie many men over 60 start to believe. It sounds like this. If I'm not having sex, I don't need to worry about erections. But here's what most doctors don't say clearly enough. Erections are not just about sex. They are a vital sign of your vascular, neurological, and hormonal health. When you stop having regular erections, either with a partner or on your own, your body doesn't just pause. It starts to shut systems down. Over time, blood vessels stiffen. Oxygen flow decreases. Smooth muscle tissue begins to atrophy. Nerves become less responsive. Nitric oxide, which triggers erections, drops dramatically. This leads to something called disuse atrophy. Not because you're old, but because your body thinks it no longer needs that system. And the longer you go without arousal or stimulation, the harder it becomes to recover. Eventually, even if you want to be intimate again, your body may not cooperate. Not because of age, but because you stopped sending the signal, this still matters. Here's the solution. Stimulate your erections regularly. Even if you're not sexually active with a partner. Even if climax isn't the goal. Why? Because regular arousal keeps blood flowing, maintains tissue elasticity, preserves neural sensitivity, protects your confidence, identity, and emotional well-being. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to remind your body that you're still alive. Because when you stop using this system, it stops working. But when you keep it active, you keep it yours. 8. Truth number 6, pornography rewires the brain, but you can reclaim it. Let's talk about something most men don't want to admit. Porn. Whether you use it occasionally or often, you're not alone. In fact, many men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond still turn to porn, not out of obsession, but as one of the only ways they can still feel something. For some, it's not even about sex. It's about connection, or the memory of it. But here's the catch. The kind of porn that exists today is not the kind you first saw in your 20s. It's high speed, high definition, and designed to flood your brain with dopamine. And over time, that flood rewires your brain. Here's what happens. Your arousal becomes dependent on exaggerated, unrealistic visuals. Your brain learns to expect extreme novelty and instant gratification. Natural touch and real-life intimacy begin to feel dull. Erections become unreliable without visual triggers. Orgasm becomes difficult, or only possible through porn. This is not a moral issue. It's a biological one. Your brain wasn't built to handle constant digital overstimulation. And when it's exposed to it for years, it begins to change. Your pleasure pathways dull. Your nervous system becomes desensitized. But here's the good news. Your brain can heal. You can retrain your nervous system, at any age. Many men benefit from taking a break from porn for just 30 days. Others choose to gradually reduce their use. What matters is this. You return to your body. You relearn how to feel without filters. Pleasure isn't the problem. Disconnection is. You don't need to give up pleasure. You just need to reclaim it, as something real, grounded, and yours again. 9. Truth number 7, isolation is the most dangerous risk of all. Out of all the risks older men face, heart disease, low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, there's one that's even more dangerous, and far more common. Isolation. Not just physical isolation, like living alone. But emotional, sensory, and sexual isolation, the kind where you stop being touched, stop touching yourself, and stop connecting to your own body. And it doesn't always feel dramatic. In fact, it often starts with a quiet resignation. That part of my life is behind me. I'm too old for that now. It doesn't matter anymore. But it does. You see, the human body, at any age, is wired for touch. Touch is how we regulate our nervous systems. It's how we produce oxytocin, lower stress, boost immunity, and stay emotionally alive. When you go too long without it, your system begins to downshift. Stress hormones rise. Sleep worsens. Blood pressure increases. Emotional circuits begin to shut down. Cognitive decline can begin earlier. In other words, your body begins to go numb. Not because of age, but because it's no longer being reminded to feel. I once met a man named Peter. 76, sharp-minded, polite, still working part-time as an engineer. He told me he hadn't been physically touched in over a year. Not even a hug. Not even a hand on the shoulder. He didn't say it with sadness. He said it like a fact, like something he had accepted. But here's the truth. Touch is not a luxury. It is a biological requirement, even if it comes only from your own hands. You are not too old to feel. You are not too old to need connection. And you are never too old to give yourself permission to reconnect. 10. The Golden Protocol, a 10-minute daily practice. By now, you've learned how powerful your connection to your body truly is. Not just for pleasure, but for health, identity, and vitality. So the question is, how do you begin again? Especially after years, or decades, of silence, guilt, or disconnection. You don't need pills. You don't need a partner. And you don't need to go back to who you used to be. You just need one thing. A consistent, intentional daily practice. What I share with my patients is something I call the Golden Protocol. It's simple. 10 minutes a day. In a quiet space. No goal, no pressure, no fantasy. Just you, your body, your breath, and awareness. Here's what to do. Find a quiet, private place where you won't be interrupted. Close your eyes. Take slow, deep breaths. Begin gently touching your body, not to climax, but to feel. Focus on the sensations, not the outcome. Stay curious. Stay connected. Let your hands move intuitively. The point isn't stimulation, it's presence. It's about sending your nervous system the message. This is safe. This is allowed. This is still mine. Over time, this simple practice can improve sleep, rebuild sensitivity, boost confidence, reduce stress, and restore your sense of self. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just reintroducing yourself to your own body, with kindness, not shame. That's the power of 10 minutes. That's the beginning of everything. Conclusion: you are not broken. If you've made it this far, let me say something clearly and directly. You are not broken. You are not past your prime. And you are certainly not alone. What you've experienced, whether it's numbness, low desire, shame, isolation, or doubt, is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that no one ever taught you how to stay connected to yourself as you age. You were handed silence. You were handed shame. And now, it's time to hand it all back. Because the truth is this. Your nervous system still wants to feel. Your hormones still respond to presence. Your heart still longs for connection. Your body is still capable of remembering what it means to be alive. Everything you've read today, these 7 truths, they're not about becoming who you were at 25. They're about reclaiming who you still are, right now. You don't need to chase performance. You don't need to measure your worth by erections or stamina. You simply need to believe this. You still deserve to feel good in your own skin. Whether you begin with a breath, a gentle touch, or 10 minutes of silence, what matters is that you begin. Start where you are. Start small. Start now. You don't need permission. This part of you was never meant to be shut down. So today, make the choice to reconnect. To reclaim. To return, not to the past, but to the present moment, where everything is waiting for you. Because you are still here. And what you do with that still matters.